The HOA thought they could scare me. They sent fake officers to my house, pretending to arrest me. Neighbors watched in shock. The HOA president smirked, but what they didn't know is that I'm the real chief of police. And their little game was about to blow up in their faces. I had lived in this neighborhood for almost 10 years, and in my front yard stood a tree that meant more to me than words could ever describe. It wasn't just a tree. It was a living memory of my late daughter, Emily. When she passed away at the age of 6, I planted that oak in her honor. Every spring, when the blossoms appeared, it felt like she was still here, smiling at me. Neighbors knew its story, and many even helped me care for it. But the HOA, they didn't care. To them, it was just another, unsightly obstruction. For years, they had nagged me about trimming it, shaping it, and even threatened me with fines. I fought back with every ounce of strength I had, refusing to let them touch it. That tree was all I had left of Emily. Then one afternoon, I came home from work and froze. My yard looked bare, empty. The tree, her tree, was gone. The HOA had sent a crew while I was away, chainsawed it down, and hauled it off. I dropped to my knees. My hands dug into the fresh stump, the splinters cutting into my palms. My chest felt hollow, like they hadn't just cut down a tree, they had ripped out my heart. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even cry. All I could hear was the buzzing of the saw in my head, echoing like a cruel reminder. That night, I sat in silence staring at the empty yard. But slowly, grief gave way to something else. Something darker. Something sharper. Revenge. I spent weeks in silence, avoiding my neighbors, avoiding the HOA board members who strutted around like they owned the world. They thought they had won. But little did they know, I was already planning my revenge. I researched every type of fast-growing tree, every creeping vine, every invasive species that could reclaim land faster than anyone could imagine. I visited nurseries out of town so no one would suspect. I collected seeds, saplings, bags of soil, and fertilizer. But I wasn't planting in my yard. Oh no, my yard was their victory. I wanted my revenge planted deep into the heart of their kingdom, the HOA clubhouse. Late at night, while the board members slept comfortably in their beds, I snuck out with shovels, saplings, and bags of soil. I broke into the clubhouse through the maintenance shed and began. One by one, I planted small trees in corners, stuffed soil into flower beds, and tucked climbing ivy against walls. I drilled tiny holes in the wooden floorboards, just enough to plant seeds that would eventually crack the foundation. I scattered wildflower seeds in every crack and crevice. Night after night, I returned. Sometimes I even sprayed a special nutrient mix on the plants, accelerating their growth. Within weeks, the clubhouse smelled like earth and moss. Creeping vines slithered across the windows. Saplings pushed up through cracks in the floor. The HOA board noticed something strange, of course. They tried cleaning it, trimming it back. But nature doesn't listen to rules, fines, or meetings. The more they cut, the faster it grew. And all the while, I watched with quiet satisfaction as their precious clubhouse transformed into a wild forest, my forest. By the time spring arrived, the clubhouse was unrecognizable. Vines wrapped around the flagpoles, thick roots split the pavement, and wildflowers spilled across the lawn like a flood. The once pristine building they used for meetings now looked like an ancient ruin swallowed by time. The HOA board called emergency meetings, but hilariously, those meetings had to be held outside because the inside was now overrun with branches, leaves, and even birds nesting in the rafters. Every complaint, every angry shout from them, only made me smile wider. Word spread across the neighborhood, then across the town. People came just to see the enchanted forest clubhouse. Kids played in the vines, couples took photos, and some even praised it as a beautiful piece of natural art. The HOA board begged landscapers, exterminators, even city workers to help. But every attempt was useless. The roots had grown too deep, the vines too thick. It would cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to tear it all down. And that money, it had to come from HOA funds, the same HOA funds they collected from members. Suddenly, the very people they had tormented were furious, not at me, but at them. One night, as I stood by the stump of my daughter's tree, I whispered softly. They took you from me, Emily. But I gave them something they'll never forget. The HOA eventually dissolved under lawsuits, anger, and financial ruin. Their once perfect clubhouse became a symbol of their downfall, a forest shrine born from greed and cruelty. In me, I finally felt peace. Because in a way, I hadn't just planted trees. I had planted justice.